Perfect. I'll get it kicked off. Michelle McCormick here again with Evotech. Happy to have on Five9s today. So Victor and team I've known for a very long time, but if you're going to talk to somebody about customer experience and about a contact center, especially a cloud-built one, you're going to talk to Five9. Not only a leader in the space, but continuing to evolve as well as innovate along the way. Some of the things that they're doing might blow your mind, from conversational AI to virtual agents and more. Five9s is pretty unique, just the way that they were built, the way that they were constructed. I'll probably have them go through their history and background and talk a little bit more about their company. But we're happy to have them on today as our final session in the customer experience track, because they really do make an impact in mostly every aspect in every vertical and industry that you could think of. They're a great team to work with, highly supportive, consultative, and we're happy to have them on today.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice. I will hand it off to you.
Yeah, so thanks for having us today. So I have a couple of my peers on the line as well. So Max is our solution engineer, and then Jay Jackson helps lead our sales team out west. So I'll let them give a quick hello. And then I have just like 3 real quick slides, and then Max will kind of show you what our platform looks like at a high level, just so you can get a better sense for who Five9 is and what we do.
Great. Thanks, Victor. I'll kick it off. This is Jay Jackson, Enterprise Sales Director over at Five9. Been here for about 4.5 years. Thank you very much for bringing us along. So we're excited about this. And like Victor said, he'll do a few slides and Max will kick it off and show you guys a solution.
Hey everyone, Max Ravia. I'll keep it brief. You'll hear tons of my voice. I'm the engineer going to walk you through the demo. So I'll be on after Victor.
Yeah.
Thanks, Max.
All right. So that's kind of the agenda. Hellos, a little bit about us. There's a lot on this slide here. And just to try to condense things, there's a few things that I want to touch on. So the first, if you take one takeaway from this call about Five9, it's in the top right corner is our net promoter score. So we have, one of the highest, if not the highest, post-implementation scores in the industry. And I'll say from a sales perspective, essentially what that's saying is, you see a lot of demos, you go through a lot of stuff with pre-sales, and then the question is, can we get this deployed? That's a real defined score, is that, what we scope, what we discuss, what we go through, it gets deployed, and our customers get third-party surveyed much after the fact they've been deployed, and that's how they score us. We have some very large customers that have started to pop up over the last few years. Most notably, you see down there's McKesson, CVX, FedEx. As 2020 started shaping a lot of our lives on how can we be more nimble and things of that nature, those big companies and those larger contact centers are starting to look at companies like Five9 for what the next slide is going to show. But, we're a public company. You can go look at, our financials. We're one of 2 in the space that are publicly traded for a long time. We've been in the business since the early 2000s, started as an outbound dialer. So we've been around quite some time in the cloud. High level, I'll say this is what our solution and our platform looks like. So there's different components. The first component is going to be, how do you want your customers to engage with you? When I talk to anyone that I know that's not in this industry, it's, if I'm going to reach out to somebody, what mechanisms do I have? Can I call them? Can I text them? Can I chat? Can I do self-service? Can I talk and just maybe do some quick account changes without having to sit on hold for an hour with, a virtual agent? And then from there, it's, you look at the agent experience, and for the agents, it's, what tools do they have? What metrics do the management have? Like, are we capturing all the right data? Are we capturing keywords, why people are calling? So there's different ways that we empower, not only the agents, but the leadership kind of behind the scenes as well. And then how that gets, I guess closing the loop is how do we finalize that interaction? Do we capture a survey? Are we sending follow-up items? Are we prompted with the next best action for the agents? Like, is that triggered automatically that if they say certain key subjects? And then the last part has to do with how we fit into the company's environment. You know, we're not a company that's going to come in and say, you have to do everything with us or nothing. If there's certain products that, you know, you really like, if there's certain, you know, databases, CRMs, product solutions, we're going to work around that, and we're going to scope around your environment. If you want to do everything with Five9, then great. But you know, if you have a bunch of Salesforce stuff, we're going to work around that. We're going to make sure that those investments do transpire and take place. Max or Jay, did I miss anything there? That's, or Michelle, is there any questions you got? That's kind of the high level slides that we got before I turned.
I think you're spot on, Victor, unless Michelle has some questions.
Yeah. No,
I don't have any questions. I get some and on the side, and I save them to the end. So I'll make sure to do that here. And I think Max, you're up.
All right. Let me figure out how to share screen. Okay. Can everyone see? It should be like a looks like a Five9 like splash page.
not.
Victor, Jay, can you see it?
No, I see solution demonstration. Victor, you want to
I'm
stop sharing?
trying to unshare.
Yeah.
It's not letting me unshare. There we go.
Okay.
Now the button works. So now, Max, you can go.
Okay. Now do you guys see it? Let's see if I flip
Yep.
that. Okay, good.
You're good.
Okay. So I have what? 20 minutes. Okay, plenty of time. So I'm going to give you kind of an accelerated version of a Five9 overview demo. Now, as Victor mentioned, Five9 is a cloud solution. We've been cloud since inception of the company back in 2001. Within that, it makes it really easy to access. It makes it easy to scale, right? If I can get to the internet, I can use Five9. I can be in Starbucks. I can be in Jamaica. I can be in Walnut Creek, California, like I am. It doesn't matter. The system's going to work the same no matter where I am. Now, within the platform itself, it's based off roles and permissions. We build users in our admin console. I can configure which parts of the portal can I get to. So there's 4 roles we have. The first is the agent role. To Victor's point, we have different flavors of our agent application. I'm going to show you standalone desktop. We call it Agent Desktop Plus, or ADP, because we love lots of acronyms. But we also have out-of-the-box integrations. We call those native integrations with Salesforce, Zendesk, Microsoft Dynamics, Oracle Service Cloud, NetSuite, Customer with a K. I'm probably missing a few. ServiceNow. Really, any big player in the space, we probably have a pre-built integration. So what that means is we embed our agent portal within those platforms. Today, you're going to see the standalone. Just know if your customers have CRMs, right, we can very easily integrate. Then we'll show Supervisor. This is a real-time portal. I want to listen whisper bars on calls. I want to see how many calls are in. We won't have time today to get to our WFO suite, but we can embed our WFO portal in Supervisor as well. Anytime you think Supervisor, think real-time data or activity. Then I will wrap up today with reports. We do reporting very well. To Victor's point, we cover every vertical you can imagine, no matter who I speak with. Reporting is the #1 thing we want to cover, or one of, I should say, the most important things. We have lots of reports out of the box. I'll show you how to customize them and then how to get the data out, right? Customers have their own BI tools, easy to integrate from a Five9 perspective. They have their own data lakes, easy to ship off that data. So I'll walk you through that process today. And then last but not least, we have our admin console. We won't cover that today. I think the #1 thing that we talk about when we talk about NPS scores and implementing customers, really we're talking about the admin. We're going to build out your whole solution for you. That's call flows, that's users, that's skills-based routing, that's integrations. All of that's handled by Five9 Professional Services. And then there's lots of training, right? It's cloud-based. You could make a change anytime you'd like on the platform. Okay. Enough talking for mine. Let's go ahead and jump into a day in the life of the agent. So I've already logged in here. Most customers just use the soft phone. It's free. It's out of the box. It works with any headset that really you can imagine, right? Any USB headset will work just fine. When it comes to routing, to Victor's point, right, what we do best is we route interactions. How do you want to have communication between customers and the business? That's what you see over here on the left side. So inbound voice, right? I'm going to take inbound calls. I'm going to make outbound calls. Five9 has a dialer, so we can do like predictive or power dialing as well. Then we have omnichannel, right? We're going to show a web chat today. I can talk about SMS. We can talk about email. Again, we only have about 20 minutes, so I'm going to be moving rather quickly through these channels, but of course we can always set up deep dives. No matter what type of interaction we're talking about, it's always through our skills-based routing engine. It's one ACD for every channel. That's why we do what we call blending of interactions very well. It's one routing engine talking to each other. Some competitors of ours are buying third parties, trying to integrate them to native solutions, makes it much more difficult from a routing perspective. If you're not familiar with the term skills-based routing, think of a skill as a type of interaction. All right, I want to have a collection of agents handling a certain type of interaction. Press 1 for sales, 2 for support. You could have a chat skill, a text skill, a voice skill. You can have 10,000 skills. You can have just one skill. It's really up to the customer. Now, I'm going to start with an inbound call. We're going to show off our intelligent virtual agent, or IVA. I picked a banking specific one. I just wanted to show you guys voice biometrics today. We can tailor these any which way you like, of course, based off the customer. So I'm going to send a call in, and then I'm sure there'll be some questions.
Hi there, George. Thanks for choosing Five9. I'm your virtual assistant. How may I help you?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, what is my checking account balance?
To securely and easily access your account, please say your secret passphrase and press pound when finished.
My voice is my secure password.
Sorry, your voice biometrics doesn't match your voice print. Now I'll send you to a representative that can assist you further.
Okay, for the sake of time, I'm just going to move on. And of course, when I want it to voice print for me, it didn't. So what's cool about from the agent perspective, I'm going to circle back to the IVA in a moment. What's cool about that is we always show them the ACD status. So from an agent perspective, very easy. You log in, you go ready, that's it. We'll start routing you interactions. But if you're not ready, right, you're doing other work as an agent, we'll always show you calls in queue, wait time, and callback. So once I go ready, my agent is set up for auto answer. So it's going to pick up that call for me, right? And we're on our live interaction. Now, when it comes to things like IVAs, IVAs have skills just like agents do. They can automate routine tasks. They can answer FAQs. They can take payments. What's kind of interesting here is since the voice biometric failed, I could call back in. I'm sure it would work just fine. But I actually think it's pretty cool that it did fail, and I'll talk through why. When we authenticate users or do self-service as a business, right, we want to make sure we're talking to the right person, right? Especially if it's banking, if it's healthcare, we're talking about HIPAA information. We don't just want to give out information. So we have to authenticate users. You can authenticate any which way you'd like. Last four of social, account number, bank account, whatever you want to do as a business, we support. The top tier of authentication is voice biometric. There is no way to socially engineer a voice print. Even if I record my own voice, play that recording, the system would detect that and count that as a fail. So what happens when we fail a voice bio is just this. Typically, we'll just send it to an agent. Now, there's different tools I can provide to help the agent through calls. One of them is a script. So when we talk about IVA or any sort of bot, what you also want to think about is that customer experience from bot to agent. I'm sure we've all been in a bot and maybe you've had a great experience, but then you get to an agent and you have to start over. For me, there's nothing more frustrating, right? It's like, why didn't I just come to the agent in the first place? That will never happen with Five9. We will always pass the context or intent of what that bot did. So in this case, we're letting the agent know, hey, they failed the voice bio. Typically, I have a customer who does this, and if they fail voice bio, they have a section in their script where the agent has to ask 3 questions, right? The scripts, of course, are configurable. You can have anything you'd like in these. But what's pretty cool is I can always grab what did the IVA do before we get to the actual agent themselves. Now, Five9 also has a light contact manager. It really is just a contact database. It's not a full-fledged CRM, right? It's not designed to replace a Salesforce or anything like that. But it's a cool place for customers to push us data. When we talk about routing, Five9 can use data to make decisions. Is a really easy, simple way to think about it. So I can do a web query to a CRM like a Salesforce or a homegrown platform or HubSpot or one of the million ones out there and make a decision, right? I'm going to use the data to route to a specific skill of agents to make this customer not wait in queue because they're VIP, right? Whatever those rules may be. Some of our customers push us data, right? And we may use that data to route. So for example, I have a customer who pushes us the language preference of their customers. We do a lookup on this field and we route to the appropriate skill. I think they have 6 or 7 languages to choose from. So we do a web lookup, and then the IVR is in that language without the customer inputting anything to the IVR itself, right? We do the lookup. If it's Spanish, it's Spanish. If it's Korean, it's Korean, right? Really cool customer experience. And then we route to the appropriate skill with that native speaker from the agent perspective. So again, web queries are very easy for us to do. The cool part about 592 is since there's no hardware, all the phone controls are right here, right? Hold, transfer, conference, mute, all the buttons you'd expect to see on a phone. The one thing I always like to remind my customers is every single one of these is a permission. So that means I could turn off the agent's ability to put someone on hold or stop and start recording, which is typically done. Park, transfer, again, anything I'm doing in the platform, I've been granted that permission. Now, the final step for an agent, regardless of the interaction, is disposition. Disposition codes, as you would expect, are configurable. You get to choose them as the customer. You could have 1, you can have 1,000. It doesn't matter to us. I have subcategories of mine. So in reports, I'd see loan status, right? And then made payment or whatever that may be. I think Victor mentioned this as well. We also offer surveys, post-call surveys. How did we do? What was the experience like? That's out of the box. We don't charge for that. So I always tell my customers, if you ever thought about that, give it a shot, right? Okay, I'm going to show omni-channel very, very quickly here just to show the different channels we can route. So when it comes to our chat widget, I always like to preface this. I am not a web designer by trade. So if you don't like how I set up my chat widget, I went pretty heavy on the pink, right? It's completely configurable for the customers. They can pick their own logos, placement, put it behind a login page, etc. They also can choose what we actually collect in the web form itself. When it comes to screen popping, we're going to use the email they enter to screen pop, right? So it's going to be the same person I just called in with George. I'll send that chat in. So my agent can do every channel humanly possible, right? I can do chat. You can ad hoc in chat. We also support bots in chat as well. We can put in canned responses. Think of those as like the FAQs. This is typically a growing list, right? So agents see more things. They want it added as an assistant. You can always update that real time. Agents can also handle multiple concurrent chats if you want them to. The cool thing about Five9 is since it's one routing engine, it's one unique interface or that single pane of glass. From the agent perspective, it's easy to move through channels, right? And that's an important concept. In today's world, you want to communicate in multiple different ways and it may be in one interaction. I love voice or I love SMS and chat, to be honest, but when I get really frustrated, I want people to call me, right? So I want to move through channels as a consumer. In Five9, it's very easy to do that, right? I could text. In this case, we're going to move to phone call, and it's all in that one single pane of glass, right? So as I move through these channels, and let me answer my phone, right? We can help the customer in the way they want to be helped. For the sake of time, I'm going to skip over email a little bit because I have supervisor reports and only 10 minutes left. Just know we route email. We are a proxy. We don't replace your Outlook. It's an email box that would go to a shared group of agents. I can come in here and respond to the customers as needed, right? Okay, so let's get out of here. Actually, let's use this one. Okay. Victor, I'm not 100% sure if I'm pausing for questions or we're doing it at the end, but
I think at the end.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And I will save some time. Good to know. Thank you. So let me show you the supervisor. So that's how agents can handle interactions. How do we monitor those agents, right? So our supervisor portal is a real-time portal where I can make custom dashboards that are based off widgets. So it's very user-friendly, right? They're just drag and drop. You can keep building as you need. You can pull in any metric. You can pull in a call disposition, right? I want to track a certain disposition. You may want to track calls in queue, call volume per agent. There's lots of ways to build these out. And you can have more than one dashboard, right? And one login can have, I think it's up to 6 or 7 dashboards. Now, if you have the permissions, you can also monitor real-time activity. So from my agent's perspective, we have Max here. He's on the phone. He's on a manual call with our customer, George. I may want to monitor that activity, right? Listen, whisper, barge are permissions. I'm listening in. Whisper means agent can hear me, customer can't. So think live coaching. Barge means I'm in that call. That's a conference call now. I could chat the agent. Hey, Max, you did great. Or hey, Max, we should review that, right? I even can see their screen. So part of our QM solution, we have screen recording. So maybe Max is way off base, right? Maybe he's new. I want to look at the screen, right? Maybe he's on the wrong page. Again, it's a good coaching opportunity. We also can empower supervisors to make real-time changes if we want them to, right? So I could say, hey, there's 10 calls in the account skill. Let's have Max help that call volume. And we route to a skill, we can make it level-based. So 1 is the highest, which means we're always going to route to the level 1 group first. So maybe Max is a backup, right? This is very common, especially when it comes to language, right? Maybe Max isn't a native Spanish speaker, but does pretty well. So he's going to be a backup in that skill. It goes all the way from 1 to 10. Now, you can also live monitor omnichannel, right? So Max is not only on a call, he's on a chat. So I can actually live monitor. And we'll get some real-time activity going here. Right? So we can live monitor activity. So now I can message the agent and say, please call. Right? So it's not, again, just limited to voice. We always can monitor, report on omnichannel activity as well. Okay. And speaking of reports, let's jump over to reports. So our reporting tool is very robust. There is a lot of reports out of the box. We help customers really find what's important to them, and then we want to automate that process so they don't have to come in here and manually ever pull reports. As I mentioned earlier, 130 canned reports, that's a lot. We break things down nicely into categories. Typically makes it very easy to find what you're looking for. You have the title of the report on the left, a business use case question in the middle. That's there to help you understand what kind of data you're going to get from that report. I'm not going to click each section, right? I'm sure you get it. You click and open up. I just want to show you there is an entire section for digital channels, which means omnichannel. So let's show the call log. The call log is probably exactly what you think it is. It's every call that goes through the platform, right? So regardless of inbound calls, outbound, etc., based off a time frame. If you like charts, there's charts. Otherwise, you can take them out. The call log is a very encompassing report. It has things like an identifier. That just makes that interaction unique. The timestamp, the campaign, what type of call was this? Did we call them? Did they call us? Is it a queue callback? The agents, some calls don't make it to agents, right? Whether it's a dialer call, maybe it's an inbound call and they hung up before they got to the representative. It's always reportable. Disposition, I won't bore you and kind of read you each one, but really every call metric you're looking for, right? From queue time to ring, talk, after call work time. All calls are recorded by default. That feature, of course, can be turned on, turned off. And there's quite a few places you can access the reports or the recording, sorry. Now, I always tell my customers, it's your data. You can export that data anytime you'd like in any format you'd like. Typically, what our customers love is the schedule and customize feature. Every report has these options. It's a 6-step wizard. You can jump around. So step 1 is type of report. Step 2 is the data. As you can see, everything in Five9 is designed for business users. You don't need to be an analyst or an engineer to run reports. You want data, you check boxes. You don't, you uncheck. It's very, very user-friendly. Step 3, you can order the report any which way you'd like. Step 4 is formulas, right? Give me an average on talk time. Give me a count to sum, etc. Step 5, you can order the information. And step 6 is called the criteria step. You can get very granular. So I can run reports on individual agents or agent group. I could filter by a campaign or a disposition or a skill group. Maybe I only manage a subset of the agents. I could filter by phone number or call type, right? I only want to see queue callbacks. Once you've done that, you can save it and throw it on a schedule. When we say schedule, we mean schedule of export. So email, SFTP, if customers have some sort of BI tool, right? Power BI, Domo, things like that. We have APIs as well to pull the data. Otherwise, you pick your format and you tell the platform when you want it. Hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, at any time you'd like. And with 5 minutes to spare, I think that's a perfect time to pause for Q&A. I know I moved pretty quickly, so I will take a pause here. Do we want to open it up, Victor and Michelle, for Q&A? Okay.
Sure. I did get a chat on the side that basically asked, your virtual agent recognized herself as that, right? Very transparent, came forward, said you're being greeted by your virtual agent. What are you seeing in the marketplace in relation to that? Because some solutions are hiding the fact that it's a virtual agent and trying to act as a human, right? So what are your remarks in regards to that?
That's a great question. We have hundreds of voices to choose from Google Voices, IBM Voices. Some of them sound very realistic. Some of them are a little more robotic. What I tell my customers is the point of virtual agents is to automate and is to make life easier for customers and agents, right? If I want to call and check a very quick thing, the bot can do that in a matter of seconds versus the agents in a matter of minutes. I personally view it as I'm not trying to trick my customers. It's okay that they know it's a bot. We use bots every day. We use Amazon Lex. We use Siri, right? We are getting more and more used to bots. I typically tell my customers our goal behind it is not to trick. Our goal is to make it a better experience. Do you have to make them a persona? Hi, it's Sarah. No, but some of my customers do, right? So it's up to the business, but typically I tell them we're not trying to deceive. We're just trying to make it a better experience.
Perfect. Thank you. And then another question came in regards to you guys have a big platform, right? Huge, right? Contact center solution. Can the bot or the agent, right? The conversational agent, the IVA be procured as a standalone? Maybe something that layer into a current contact center that's on-prem where, you know, it's a really heavy lift, or something that's not projected as a budget or a timeline in order to move in the next year, but they're looking at solutions around just a bot.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. The short answer is yes. There would be some scoping involved, but the easiest way to answer that is yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we see that pop up in a lot of larger contact centers where they're just it's too heavy of a lift to just move the entire contact center. But it's like, we need to start with some sort of self-service option, especially for peak seasonal stuff.
And on the flip side of that, I have some customers who say, I've spent 2 decades tuning this bot. I want to keep it, but I want everything else Five9 does. It can also work the other way, where a different bot upfronts the interaction, and then when it routes to an agent, it comes to Five9. So it works either or.
Perfect. That's awesome. And then from industry or vertical perspective, you guys can support pretty much any industry, any vertical, and anybody across the globe, right? Hundreds of different languages that you do support. Is there a sizing or anything that you like to look at? Like, hey, you need to have at least X amount of agents, or we go scale up to Y amount of agents. Can you just talk to that real quick?
So the smallest instances we have are 3 to 5 seats. We have a team that handles, you know, those smaller contact centers. So at a minimum, I think CVS is a good example. We have 33,000 seats on there now with them. So I don't think that there's a high water mark, but most of our companies probably fall into the, I'll say 20 to 500. That's if you talk like where the bulk of our customers are, they're going to be in that range. There's outliers on both ends of the spectrum.
But we won't turn down your large customers either.
No, we won't.
No. Okay.
No, but you know, like I said in the beginning, a lot of, you know, it's kind of crazy to watch is, you know, over COVID, it's a lot of these kind of smaller customers that can just be super nimble. They jumped right away. And we're starting to see like a lot of the larger multinational contact centers start to come and say, hey, like we need to scope this. We got to figure this out. And those are long projects. Like that's 1-2 year project. Like some of those, they took a long time. So we're definitely ready for those.
Any major wins you could talk about, or logos that you've currently onboarded? That'd be great to know.
I don't know. Jay, what do you want to talk about one, or you want me to talk about one?
I would say the CVS one. I mean, that's the big one. Yeah, like you just mentioned, it's 33,000 agents. And that's a big deal. It's probably one of
it's the largest cloud CVS deployment ever.
Yeah, that we've had, which is great. FedEx is another one, which is huge. And so many thousands of agents. So those have been 2 of the recent ones. And this keeps getting better and better. So we're
that's probably, you know, one of the larger ones we have. You know, I think we have the only airline that's on a cloud platform with us, which is Alaska. That's the only airline that's fully on Five9 as well.
Correct.
You know, it's not as big, but you know, those are some of the old legacy, you know, on-prem solutions are big banks, airlines, big healthcare, and slowly they're starting to trickle. So it's, you know, locally we had like, you know, one that Jay and I had was Inogen, and that was 600 seats recently, and that's medical devices. They're calling, they're prospecting, and that's a pretty big contact center. But when you compare it to CVS, it's
not.
Awesome. Congrats, guys. Appreciate your time today. Appreciate the presentation. Great job, Max, Jay, Victor.
Thank
It's
you.
always great to see you. Thank you for joining today, and it's lunchtime.
Sounds good. Thank
right.
you. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.